A wet dream, most definitely not about his godfather. Steam-powered hearing aid. Distance makes the wet dreams grow fonder.
Sounds like he wants to top his godfather.
Oh.
As long as he's capable on the battlefield and in bed, anything else doesn't matter.
Stars of Chaos. This is a new gay book for us to read, also known as Chapeau Long. I have heard that name a lot in the Danmei community. Does that mean I know anything about it?
No. Our very first Priest novel.
We've heard all about Priest.
Word of Honor.
Word of Honor, yes, which we also haven't watched yet. Quick, things to note. Hot guy with a monocle.
That is the most important thing to know. I think we can go home now. It's so important that the monocle is actually on the spine.
Holy shit. Now, hear me out. Is a visual impairment attractive? Yes.
Case in point.
He wears it because he wants to get laid.
Fair enough.
This guy is an inventor. I'm picturing like Flick from Bug's Life, okay? And he's made a crucial error. One of his machines killed someone. Like they got snapped inside of it, a la Five Nights at Freddy's or something. So he gets tossed out of his village. And then the yellow guy stumbles upon him and decides to take him in.
Okay.
I'm hoping for wacky inventor shenanigans, like Belle's dad from Sleeping Beauty or Flick.
Sleeping Beauty? Hey, we've
What?
been through this.
Beauty and the Beast, same thing. A time of change is upon the Empire. A change of seasons? Thousand autumns? The discovery of violet gold, a vital fuel for steam-powered machines.
Steampunk, steampunk.
Propelled the empire of Great Liang into an age of prosperity. But for Changgang, a young man raised on the impoverished northern border, the concerns of the empire are as distant as the stars above. He's like, I don't give a shit about the empire's concerns.
Or the stars.
Do you know what his favorite joke probably is? Orion's belt is a great waste of space. When raiders from the Lost Ark from the north attack Changgung's small village, he discovers that the life he knew was a lie. His mother, his teacher, and even his godfather, whom he trusted more than any other, Shen Shilu, are not what they seem. As enemy nations close in, Changgung follows his godfather to the heart of the imperial capital, where a greater fate lies in store for him. Ooh. I think I remember one of my friends telling me that it's kind of like a father-son dynamic, and that was the only thing that made them want to keep reading.
I'm sorry, that made them want to keep reading?
It was Ray.
God damn it, Ray.
What would make him think that his whole family is not...
What would make him think that his godfather is sexy?
It's like the raiders attack, his godfather puts on a monocle, and he's like, holy gadzooks! Smells a little problematic to me.
I'm sure I can do some mental gymnastics and fix all of that.
There's a terrible joke in there about this being written by a priest.
No! So, what we know now, sexy godfather, guy who doesn't care about the stars. Maybe he becomes an astronomer.
He looks a little angry. I wonder what their dynamic is.
You're not my real dad.
It's like, I'm your godfather. Come bring me some tea and sit in my lap.
Stop!
He gasps, seeing a woman, so that's a good sign that he's gay.
How do we know it's not a man dressed as a woman?
Is this even a gay novel?
That's a good damn question. It says Danmei right there.
Danmei just means pretty boys.
I think it means pretty boys kissing each other is what it implies.
This is the one. This is the shot.
This is where I think that maybe the pretty boys do kiss. Here's one that made me gay gasp.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Indigo.
Sexy archer man, though. His whole Katniss Everdussie is out in this photo.
Why are you like this?
That's pretty sick.
I could just hear like shot through the heart
and you're to blame. Meanwhile, he's being consumed by the darkness.
Always a good sign.
Evil demon hands, yeah.
It's the demons of homosexuality.
Yeah. And someone is blind. Wait, he needs a monocle. So maybe his other eye gets injured and then he's like, I can't see at all.
Now I really am visually impaired.
Maybe he watched Jujutsu Kaisen and thought that Gojo looked super cool with his blindfold, so he decided to wear one.
At first I was like, surely that's not Monocle Guy, right? But it looks like they're wearing the exact same belt, so now
that's definitely Monocle Guy.
Okay, well he's not wearing a monocle, so how was I supposed to know?
There's eye impairment guy, okay?
Okay, there can only be one blind guy per novel.
Yes. And they're walking arm in arm, though. He's like, oh,
yeah, it's because he doesn't want him to trip into the harbor.
That's so funny. He's like, ooh, you're leading me and I'm your godfather.
look up.
Well, we will get back to you in a moment.
I finished.
So you finished it in one day?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Maybe one sitting. But by chapter 2, I was like totally hooked.
Ooh.
Like, it took me a while to get invested in 2000 Autumns, but this was a totally different story. I mean, literally.
Shut up. Oh my god. Get out.
I love this so much, and I'm so excited to talk about it.
Wow.
We were kind of wrong about everything. Stars of chaos. The stars are in chaos.
Yeah.
What do you think that means?
Like the stars have aligned, but the opposite of that.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's really interesting, actually. So if you want to go to slide 2, slide girl, Xiaopolong is the name of a star formation in Chinese astrology. There are multiple astrology systems, so this is just one of them.
Okay.
But being born under the Xiaopolong foretells a turbulent fate full of change and revolution. The lucky will find talent and fortune in chaos, while the unlucky will find disaster. Overall, they are likely to make a large name for themselves through great ups and downs. Many great generals in history are said to have been born under the sign.
So it's like being born in Aries.
Yeah, pretty much. The title is pointing towards the protagonist becoming this type of figure, or perhaps his godfather being this type of figure as well. They're both kind of destined for great things, but at a certain cost, perhaps.
Auspicious.
Inauspicious, actually.
The lucky will find talent and fortune in chaos, while the unlucky will find disaster. So regardless, there's gonna be chaos.
Yes.
Okay.
You're either going to thrive or you're going to die.
Okay.
Very chaotic star thing.
Gotcha.
So, Chang'e is named after the evening star of the west, i.e. Venus, which is a very shitty star to be born under.
So like Sagittarius.
Hey now! I just remember his mom kind of hates him and is like, you get the unlucky star name.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, destined for shit things. Chang'e is, I think, almost 14 at the start of the book. He is living in a very rural country area, kind of on the outskirts of the nation.
14's pretty young.
He gets older.
But I don't think in most of the stories we read, they're already. I mean, 17 seems to be like the prime Danmei age.
It's true. It's true. I feel like definitely we're getting in that direction.
He hasn't like peaked yet.
Yes, by the end of the book, he's like 16.
Oh.
So next book, prime Danmei sexy times. I don't know.
I've only had Chang'e for a day and a half, but if anything happened to him, I would kill everyone in this room and then myself.
I love him. He is very diligent, very responsible, and very kind. He's the type of person to hold back his real thoughts and feelings in order to make other people like feel better. Like, he can look at someone and have like a nasty thought, but he's not gonna say it to their face.
Okay.
Which is a good quality in a Danmei boy.
Yes.
And he is just really diligent when it comes to like practicing his martial arts and sword fighting, even though he really doesn't have like a great future ahead of him, kind of just being out in the middle of nowhere. And he doesn't have a lot of opportunity to be affectionate in his life. So when he does care for someone, he really has a lot of love to give and doesn't really know how to show it.
Maybe he should just get a dog.
Or a godfather.
Okay, I know where this is from. I don't know where this is going.
That's a good question. So, actually the first characters we're introduced to in the book are Chang'e's sidekicks, his friends.
Okay.
More like his followers who he's kind of ends up being stuck with through circumstance and thereby our friends.
Okay.
So we've got the obligatory chubby kid in the neighborhood who is the butcher's son. And we've got this guy. A guy who was also born under probably some unlucky star because a fortune teller told his family when he was young, this kid was actually meant to be a girl. So because he's not a girl, he's gonna probably die. As soon as the heavens figure out he's not a girl, he's just gonna die. And this is like also coming from an era where a lot of children do die young.
Okay.
Historically. So his family's like, no problem. We will raise him as a girl. He will probably be fine after that.
Oh my god! Does he like being a girl?
I don't think he minds being a girl.
Does he know that he's actually not a girl?
Yeah. And he's also like pretty fine with that too.
Is he like, I'm playing the part for my parents and for astrology's sake?
Here's the thing. After all of this gender fuckery that went on in his life, he's actually like very fine like dressing up as either, and he ends up being kind of a master of disguise, which comes into play with some of like the plot dynamics in the novel.
That's cool.
But it really ended up just making him flamboyantly gay.
Okay. Well,
So he got the part of you're a girl, so you are gonna like boys. He kind of has crushes on anyone handsome in the book. Like, indiscriminately, if there's a hot guy, he's like, I'm the maiden.
oh my god!
Yes.
Is he fooling anyone?
Okay, if you know him personally, you know.
Yeah.
Like, if you were, like, in the village, you know.
Okay.
If
He's
so-
the only gay in the village.
Yes, he's only gay in the village. But, like, he can pass for a girl, like, pretty easily. Not a pretty girl, per se, but,
Okay.
like...
Is he also like 14?
I think a little bit younger than Chang'eng, but kind of similar age.
Okay.
So these two, you're kind of, they're the first people you see at the beginning of the book, you're like, why do I care? But they actually end up being quite endearing, and they develop even more kind of character going into the story where they're not just kind of funny sidekicks, they're actually useful people with their own kind of goals and intentions.
Okay, so main guy was born under the Chaos Star. The girl guy was born under the girl star. What's the chubby guy born under?
Probably under the chubby star.
Like at the end of the Mario Party game when you get like the stars handed out to you and it's like, I didn't even know that was a star that existed.
That's kind of his main personality trait. At first I felt a little bit bad for him, but then he ends up developing an interest in kind of the steampunk technology in the book, and he actually ends up kind of being the gadget guy.
Okay,
so
cool.
That's cool.
I see we're like making this formation of like, there's gonna be a heist or something.
Absolutely. I can feel the heist coming. So that was my first impression of the whole book, actually. Is like, these guys show up.
Okay.
So, we meet his godfather, Shen Shiliu, pretty early on.
Okay.
He doesn't look like that, though. He doesn't have the cool armor, or the cool monocle, or the cool vibes. From what I've told you about Chang'eng,
Yeah.
about his personality, can you imagine what kind of person he appears to be?
This guy probably says what's on his mind. If the other guy's like hiding his true emotions to be polite, this guy's probably like, your friend's a girl and that one's fat.
Kind of. He is surprisingly way more like Wei Wuxian than I thought he would be. I thought he would be like a cool guy, you know?
Yeah.
He is a silly little goose.
Oh, is he?
He is. He's actually described as handsome but completely useless.
We love that in a man.
We love that in a man. Dear God, do we love that in a man. He lives in the village with his older brother, who is like the responsible, hardworking one, kind of a jack of all trades, good at everything, kind of a scholarly sort. And then there's him. All he knows is drink during the day, ramble around, play instruments badly. He's just completely useless garbage. And he's totally okay with that. No aspirations. And he's also blind and deaf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In both eyes?
We'll get into that. We'll get into that. And you're like, how on earth does this guy become Chang'eng's godfather? And
Right.
so I feel like how we understand god parentage is like, it's usually a very close friend of like your parents, one
Yeah.
of your parents. Usually we would imagine them to be like pretty similar in upbringing and age and everything. So I'm like thinking like, is this like his dad's friend? No. So
Okay.
how this works, having a child, if someone renders you a really large service or kind of does something big like save your life, you might say, you know what, you are now the godparent of my child.
Okay.
And what that means is now there's a filial obligation that my child has or I have towards you.
So it's not the other way around. It's not like, as the godparent, if we die, you're gonna look after him. It's like, you saved the baby from rolling under a car in the parking lot, now that baby owes you one.
Yes, literally. When you grow old, my kid's gonna take care of you as if they're
Gotcha.
your kid.
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah. So it's a sweet deal. And so what happened was, you know, these brothers were rolling into town for the first time, and they happen upon, like, 12-year-old Chang'eng, who is getting attacked by wolves in the forest.
Oh, shit.
As one
okay.
does. And they save his life.
Oh.
And
is he
so-
blind and deaf at this moment?
That is a good question, because Chang'eng is thinking, hey, I remember being carried in his big, strong arms, but he's blind and deaf. How the hell did he fight off all these wolves and have the strength to carry me when I know he can't even carry a broom to do any chores? Suspicious right off the start. Chang'eng's dad, his stepdad, is like, cool beans, you're godparents now. Older brother's like, I cannot take that responsibility. And the younger one's like, free son!
Oh my god!
Now, Chen Shiliu is actually only like 7 years older than him. He's like maybe like thereabouts, like 20, 21.
Okay. He was the one that was like, sweet free child.
Yeah.
Great, now I don't have to fuck a stupid girl.
That's kind of their dynamic. The older brother, like, is tutoring him, kind of in just, reading and writing, and Shen Liu isn't, like, providing anything of worth to this child, but he is honestly and earnestly affectionate towards Chang'eng, and he's just always, like, again, Wei Wuxian style,
In
just,
a
like...
platonic way?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes! He's just, like, teasing him, and just close with him, and just, like, honestly more like kind of an incompetent older brother, and, like, the text makes it very clear that he is in no way good at godparenting or parenting in general. He is not that person. He is not that guy. So he's really not a father figure, but he is like a respected elder. Well, a disrespected elder to Chang'eng, who does not respect him, but does earnestly love him.
Where's Chang'eng's actual parents?
His stepfather married his mom when they came into the village a long time ago because the mother was kind of like widowed and she was looking for relatives in this kind of village and they were no longer there, so she was kind of stranded. But this sort of military commander, who's again not like very super successful or super wealthy or really notable at all, but just a guy in the military basically, like sees her, takes a liking to her, ends up being like a really good husband and father, but he's like constantly absent. Like he's always off doing like border patrol shit. So he's nice, but like we don't honestly see him in the book at all.
So his parents are away, so these two kind of older brother guys look after him.
Well, his mom is around, and we'll get to that.
Okay.
Right around chapter 2, something happens.
A wet dream, most definitely not about his godfather. Oh my god! Oh dear.
Yeah, so that happened pretty early on, because I was beginning to wonder, I'm like, where is this going? So it establishes pretty early on that before Chang'eng even really fully realizes his feelings, that he does have a bit of a crush on his useless godfather. And also it's more noticeable because he always has nightmares, and this is the one time he didn't have a nightmare, and it wasn't even a sexual dream, it was just a dream about his godfather, like, saving him.
Okay.
So,
but he got a boner about it?
But he did get a boner about it, apparently. So he's like, that was weird, but he doesn't even necessarily, like, think anything of it because it's never happened to him before.
Okay.
One is, like, excusable. One is, like, I can write that one off.
One godfather boner is allowed.
Yes.
You're not gay yet.
Not yet. It takes the second boner for him to realize.
Oh.
But that comes much later.
It does come later.
It sure does.
What?
His mother, you mentioned. You asked about his mother. So that's a little bit of a weird point. So, we're kind of still exploring his life. Things seem pretty normal, country life. His mom fucking hates him and tries to kill him all the time. So he's got a little bit of anxiety towards his mother, who may or may not be trying to kill him at any given point. Especially when he was younger, really couldn't defend himself much. Everyone's like, he's got this like weird like neurotic germ thing about his mom. He won't touch anything she's ever like cooked or like touched in the kitchen. It's because
she's trying to poison him.
And strangled the life out of him, etc, etc. But she always changes her mind at the last minute and like holds back. So it's like they're at an impasse.
The power to kill you, but I do not let it kill you.
Yeah, so you read that and you're like, wait a second, this is a bit weird.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah.
So his backstory and his relationships with his parents and everything seems to actually be something full of intrigue.
Okay.
What actually happens is that one day his mom's in a particularly good mood. She's getting all made up and stuff, and it's because the big airship, steampunk stuff.
Cool.
The big airship is coming back into town. That means like her husband's gonna be back. It's like, we have to pretend to be a happy family now, so don't screw this up for me, little boy.
Right.
And he thinks everything's gonna be great. He comes back home and he finds his mom in the act of killing herself, which he's like, well, that's a bit unusual. Usually it's the other way around.
Dear.
Yes. His mom reveals a lot of information, a lot of her true feelings. One of which, she's not his real mother, which would explain a lot.
Oh dear.
But is actually his aunt. Yeah, I guess she has some resentment about that.
Do we know where his real mom is?
Yes. She's dead.
Oh.
But she was a noble consort, which means...
You're the son of the emperor!
So he's actually a prince. He's actually the lost prince. He's like Rapunzel. She stole him away, Mother Gothel style, after her sister died in childbirth, and has been hiding him away ever since. And so we're like, okay, but why are you killing yourself, Miss Lady? That's because this whole time, she has actually been one of the barbarians, okay?
Okay.
So, the barbarians...
I heard there was, like, some racism towards Mongolians in this book.
There seems to be a lot of that in Danmei.
Yeah.
Especially in historical novels, there's these kind of, like, unnamed barbarian people, so it's
Okay.
always okay to fight, and
Right.
seems to be a source of a lot of conflict. But anyways, so she's secretly one of these barbarian people. She's been plotting against the Empire the whole time, as barbarians are wont to do. And today, she knows, is the day of the invasion. And so, the big airship that's coming back in, full of all the soldiers and stuff, has been taken over by barbarians.
Oh.
Yes.
So she's gonna kill herself?
Yeah, she was feeling a little conflicted because at the one time she felt that victory was secured and that the part she played in relaying information and being a spy was over. But at the same time, she really did like the man who became her husband and kind of betrayed him. She kills herself in front of her son while cursing him to a terrible, terrible fate. She's like, I poisoned you.
She actually does kill herself?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, though she succeeds. Chunggung, being a very lovely boy, he's like, even though he had very mixed feelings about her, he still really honored the fact that she raised him and did not kill him, and so he kind of, like, respectfully, like, not buries her, but kind of lays her out and spends some time reflecting on their relationship and stuff, which is, that was nice. But yeah, in her dying breath, she curses him to a terrible fate of becoming, like, a madman, a lunatic, someone filled with bloodlust who's destined to, like, destroy everything around him, because she poisoned him with a very special poison that is slow acting and will slowly drive you insane, which is why he has nightmares every night.
Oh.
And soon, it's like psychological Ebola.
Okay.
Okay. Taking some notes from Meat Bun or something. He starts experiencing more extreme symptoms throughout the book, and it's definitely going to become more of a thing later on. But right now, he has nightmares every night, and sometimes when he is like really distressed, he gets these feelings of kind of uncontrollable like rage or bloodlust, which he does not act on because he's a good boy and I love him.
The only cure is being gay.
Honestly though, I feel like it's getting set up for like a f or die situation. That's me projecting, but I don't know, it just seems like there's one person who could probably help. Yeah, so he discovers all of this. Meanwhile, his village is being razed to the ground by these soldiers in big metal suits of armor that could do super cool shit.
Cool.
Like they're super fast, they're super strong, and they've got like guns in them, and it's like incredible. It's like the most steampunk battle possible.
Cool.
Everyone's dying. He's kind of just sitting there being like, what the heck? He runs into his tutor, you know, the older brother, like Shunyi, and he's like, Your Highness, we've actually been undercover, and now we're gonna steal you away and get you safe. And he's like, I'm not anyone's highness. I think my mom lied. You know, he thinks that she lied in order to, like, muddle the bloodline or whatever. He doesn't believe it, and he still doesn't believe it, like, through the whole book. Like,
they're like, come with us, you're the crown prince. And he's like, no, I'm not.
This is all part of our plan. I am not.
Okay.
He doesn't buy it for, like, the whole time, which is a really big struggle. But another thing he learns at this time, which screws him up even more, is his godfather, his Yifu, Shen Shiliu, is actually Gu Yin, the commander of the Black Iron Battalion.
What?
The super coolest guy to ever be cool.
So he has a dual personality, like he pretends to be the drunk, but he's actually like,
It's like
genius steampunk guy.
It's like Mo Shan Yu versus actual Wei Wuxian,
Oh my
maybe.
gosh.
Maybe. Because they're not actually that different, but one is definitely a little bit sillier than the other.
Okay.
Yeah. So he discovers, of course, that his godfather isn't who he said he would, and like that immediate sense of loss of like, you weren't who I thought you were. The affection you had for me
was all a lie.
It was all a lie.
Yeah.
And like suddenly he has nothing, and he is devastated, and he's grieving, and he's angry, and like Guyen looks at him and is like, oh shit, he's really mad. I kind of fucked this up a little bit.
It's like, no, you don't get it. I'm super fucking cool.
He's literally like that. He's like, he's gonna love me now. And he's super cool. And he's like, absolutely not. He's like, I don't understand. Boys love super cool army guys.
Yeah.
But he comes and he swoops in, he's like killing people left and right. Chang'ung actually kills a man too, which is a little bit formative for him. Like, that's kind of part of his transition into being a man instead of a boy. Gotta kill somebody. And then you're like, wait a second, is he really deaf and blind?
Yeah.
Because he's not acting deaf and blind at all. Like, this guy would play it up, he'd be convenient, like, nope, can't hear you when he's out to do the chores, but he's legitimately disabled. So that all goes away. This is all Guyin. And I like, how blind do you actually think he is? Like, blindfold blind? Like, nothing? Or monocle? Kind of half blind?
It's like Gojo. He doesn't need to see to be able to see.
He actually sees too well.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, is that your final answer?
I think he is not blind.
You're so wrong.
He's actually blind?
He's actually extremely blind and extremely deaf.
He should just invent a cochlear implant.
He's not an inventor either.
But he's the steampunk master.
He wears the steampunk armor. He is not Iron Man.
Well, get the frickin' kid to invent a cochlear implant and
he can't invent anything.
Steam-powered hearing aids.
Okay, there is a convenient workaround.
Okay.
There is magic medicine he can take that will completely restore his sight and hearing.
See. Okay.
And when he first took it, it worked for months at a time.
Okay.
Just one little and then he's good. But since he's been taking it, and this is like a very strong medicine with very strong side effects.
What's the side effect?
Head hurty disease. It gives him headaches.
Aww.
And he's very sad about it. But now that he's been using it, like, it only works for a few days at a time. And again, like, it kind of takes him out a little bit, like, once he immediately takes it, and then, of course, when it wears off, he's kind of has these symptoms as well. So, he's able to, like, pull off some, like, pretty incredible feats when he's at, like, full capacity. But, even when he is not taking the medicine, he's not, like, as silly goofy as he plays it off.
What I'm hearing is very much like 1,000 Autumns, is that he is blind and deaf when convenient. This better make something sexy happen.
But I do want to stress that it's actually really sad.
Make a steam-powered monocle.
Sometimes steampunk isn't the solution to everything. Because for like a whole like heist part of the novel, he's like, I've got a great plan, and it involves me pretending to be blind and deaf. So he's just like, oh, this is just his favorite bit.
I see. That's so funny. He's like,
Yes.
oh, you're just pretending to be a mime.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're really good at being a mime.
You're really good at this, actually.
Another wet dream later.
Yeah, so by the time the second one comes around, he's like, okay, I do have a crush on my godfather. And so like any respectable young man, he's like, I have to hide this for the rest of my life. And I should probably put some distance between us.
Right.
Chang'ung is really struggling with the fact that he has these like feelings of like attraction and romance.
Distance makes the wet dreams grow fonder.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But he knows that Guyon doesn't see him as an equal in any way. He's just like, you're a cute kid.
Yeah.
He definitely has a big old crush and has a lot of gay panic around his godfather. Like,
Is his second wet dream like a romantic situation?
it is, and it sounds like he wants to top his godfather.
Oh.
He's really embarrassed about it. He's like, this is disgraceful.
Wow. Ooh, what's this?
I kind of forgot why I put that in. I think it's just because he looks so good. On a more serious note, their relationship is really, really compelling. From what I heard about this book, I heard that it was like kind of a slow burn, if anything, that it wasn't really heavy on romance. It was more of just like a straight historical novel. And I don't think that's true, actually. But at the same time, it's not like pushing something that would be like really awkward to read. From the very beginning, you can tell that they both care so deeply about each other, and they both have their hang-ups where they're not able to express it. Like, Guyon has like so much built around his like arrogance and like hiding his own vulnerabilities and being insincere with everyone around him, just joking around and teasing, that he's really struggling with having like an authentic relationship with like anyone. And even though he cares so deeply about Chang'ung, he's not able to express that and bridge the gap between them. And on the other hand, Chang'ung like really like absolutely like cares for and wants to protect him, and like sees that he's like hiding things and that he's not being completely authentic, but just like they have such an earnest connection, and there's just so much pining and heartache, and it's so good. Like, just like even though it's like a mixture of like a one-sided crush and like kind of familial and platonic things, you can see like that there's a real soulmate connection there, that it will grow into something really beautiful like over time, and it's just so nice.
Aww.
It really made my heart ache so much. I loved it.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
Stitch's top 3 favorite Danmei Award.
It made the top 3.
What are your top 3?
I like TGCF, I like Golden Terrace, I like Stars of Chaos.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The steampunk stuff was like awesome. It was so cool. Like as I was reading like the action scenes, I was thinking like, I really hope that when the live action eventually comes out, that there will be like some really awesome fight scenes, because I could imagine it being so epic. It was so cool.
That's awesome.
All sorts of cool things. And it was really easy to get into. I was just hooked like from like the very first chapter. I immediately cared about the characters. I found it just really easy to read. There was nothing like really confusing, no long kind of info dumps. And there is like a glossary at the back of the book, but I didn't need it actually. I looked at it afterwards, but things were actually explained as they were introduced with the exact same definitions in the back of the book. So it was just really easy to understand, which I could not say the same of all novels that I've read.
In conclusion, Guyun is a trash man, and I love him.
He's an absolute asshole for most of the book, but he means well.
Wow, and he's suffering, which
He
is so sexy in
You
a man.
can be an asshole as long as you're hiding the darkness inside.
And nice to a
Yes,
kid.
he is
that
nice.
wants to fuck you
He
eventually.
doesn't know that, though.
Okay.
So he gets a pass.
I'm very excited to read this one.
Did you have any, like, questions about, like, the pictures?
Just the one that was of when he's sitting by his bedside. What was that scene about?
That was nice. That was nice. He goes in, Changgung is having a nightmare, and he's sitting by his bed, and like they have like an actual discussion where he's trying to
a
be
discussion,
earnest.
or is he yelling because he's deaf?
After the big reveal of like his true identity, he assumes that the deaf and blind thing was an act.
Yeah.
Okay? So like ever since then he's like treating him as if he's not deaf and blind.
So that happens after that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, fair,
Yes.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Also, is that lute playing scene also him?
Oh my god, there's this whole thing where like Changgung like carved like a couple of like little flutes for like these like kids.
Yeah.
And Guyun was like, I want one. I want one. Please make me one. Please give me one. He's like, you are not a kid. I'm not making you one. Also, I've heard you play instruments. You suck, and I'm not going to subject myself to that.
Wow.
And he is so pressed about it that he would not give him one that he ends up like stealing it from the kid later. And honest, the first time we're introduced to him, he's like playing something on like an ocarina type instrument, and it just sounds like absolute garbage.
Wow.
He's not musically talented.
Wow. Well, we love a man that can not be capable, but also can be very capable on the battlefield.
As long as he's capable on the battlefield and in bed, anything else doesn't matter.
Oh my god, that is perfect. Well, thank you so much, Stitch, for Danmei Book Club. And what's next?
You woo?
What's this? You woo? The next one we're going to do is You Woo. So if you'd like to buy this book or You Woo, I'll have both links in the description. And be sure to check out Stitch's Instagram at One Stitch from Hell. She is beautiful. She's a talented cosplayer and writer and girlfriend. And I love her. And you should too. Okay, see you guys next time. Bye!